Hello everybody. Ministry is an amazing call, full of great joys and significant moments in people's lives. Officiating weddings, presiding over funerals, seeing firsthand how lives are changed for Christ. But it is also full of tension, relational strain, intense conflict, unrealistic expectations, misunderstandings, and at times soul-aching loneliness. Many pastors experience this unexplainable phenomenon. When church members are pleased, they say nothing. But if they are not happy about any programs, plans, or projects of the church, they will be vociferous and relentless in their criticisms and negative comments. If members like the sermon, you don't hear any encouragement. If they don't like it, they will share their assessment freely with others. Many in church have little understanding of the immense burdens that pastors bear. Because it's Pastors Appreciation Month, I want to reflect on Exodus chapter 17. Verse 10. So Joshua did as Moses said to him and fought with Amalek. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. And so it was when Moses held up his hand that Israel prevailed, and when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed. But Moses' hands became heavy, so they took a stone, put it under him, and he sat on it. And Aaron and Hur supported his hands, one on one side and the other on the other side. And his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. So Joshua defeated Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. The title of my devotion is based on verse 12. Aaron and Hur supported his hands. Hence the title, Support His Hands. May I suggest 7 things we can do to support our pastors. Number 1, go up to the mountain with your Moses. Not only go up, but go right up to the top. Some accompany their pastors, but abandon them before they reach the top. Secondly, learn to observe what your pastor is doing. In verse 11, Moses held up his hand on his own, and in verse 12, his hands became heavy. To care for a person, you need to be on the lookout for that person. This scripture is there to remind us that we need to sometimes observe, discern, watch, to see what is happening to the man we are supporting. Thirdly, appreciate the immensity of the spiritual battles he is engaged in and the significance of the task God has called him to do. How do we begin to appreciate our shepherd if we do not know where he is, what he is doing, and what he is going through? Here Moses is up in the mountain, engaging with the arch enemy, the Amalekites, in the spirit realm, and his hands became heavy. Pastors often are caught up in serious intercessory work. Friends, believe me, they are not only just spending time in prayer, they are sweating and fighting for the destiny of the nation. Fourthly, take the initiative. In verse 12, so they took a stone and put it under him. Don't always wait for NECF to prompt you, for someone to remind you, or wait for October to come. Go all out to make the first move. They took a stone and put it under him. There was no evidence that Aaron and Hur were asked. They just did it. It is time the church matures. Fifthly, support your leadership as a team. Note the plural pronoun, they. They took a stone. Aaron is Moses' brother. Hur, according to Jewish tradition, is the husband of Miriam. Others believe he is just Moses' friend. Together, we can do more. Together, we can be more effective in supporting the workers amongst us. Together we cover up for each other's lack or neglect in supporting our leaders and pastors. Number 6, give practical, full and unwavering support. Many think as long as they are not stabbing the leadership in the back, we are doing good. The Bible tells us we need to be on both their sides. This speaks of practical support. This also speaks of full support. Until the going down of the sun, this speaks of unwavering support. Lastly, show up at the battlefront. So Joshua defeated Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. I have just finished listening to a talk on leadership and on how young leaders need to rise up. I think many are preoccupied with positional leadership. All this rising up, sometimes I think is quite pointless. After serving in the church for over 5 decades, I tell myself, I don't want them to rise up. Rather, I want them to show up at the battlefront. What joy Moses must have felt when he saw Joshua showing up to wield the sword to defeat Amalek and his people. What is the point of praying and praying if the Joshuas will not show up to do battle? Note in verse 10, Joshua did as Moses said to him. Joshua did as Moses said to him. Nowadays, too many won't do as instructed unless it's convenient for them. Doesn't matter if the battle is on. They are not free. We need to stop talking about the Joshua generation taking over. First, they must show up and wield the sword. It is senseless to transit to the new generation when they can't find their sword, or if they find it, they don't know how to use it, or if they know how to use it, they can't identify who are the Amalekites. Today, we don't need perfunctory leadership. So many taking up leadership positions where their only gift is giving advice on what needs to be done. What we need today is for people to show up at the battlefield and support their pastors. Well done, Pastor. Okay, that is good. But we need more than just a pat on the back. We need practical support. How can we say we appreciate God's workers when we don't show up at the front lines? It was the Bee Gees who sang, "It's only words, and words are all I have." Well, in the real church world, words are not enough. In conclusion, let me add this. Most pastors who serve with the right motives find it difficult during the Pastor Appreciation Month to take up an offering for themselves. The Apostle Paul said in Thessalonians chapter 5, "Recognize those who labor among you and admonish you and esteem them." Let us ask ourselves, are they doing these two difficult tasks, laboring and admonishing? If they are, then let us esteem them. And one sure way to esteem them is to bless them. Bless all our workers who are laboring. Of course, I want to encourage you to express care for your pastor every month. Let October feel like a bonus month. The month of October is not the month to make up for mistreating your pastor 11 months of the year. Why not take up an offering and use it to bless those who have labored among you? It is practical and meaningful. A small love gift to encourage those who make sacrifices all the time for the members of the church. Let me quickly recap. Go up to the mountain with them. Appreciate the significance of the task he is undertaking for God. Take the initiative to find the stone of support. Work as a team, one on each side. Give practical, full, unwavering support. And lastly, show up at the battlefield. Wield the sword. Nothing encourages your pastor more than him seeing you with the sword at the front lines. Let us not be stingy with our words of affirmation and encouragement. God bless you. God bless all the pastors, leaders, and full-time workers in our nation.